It's Sunday night, and you know what that means? That means it's another live with Adventure 50. So how's everybody tonight? Doing all right out there? I know a lot of people are over at MPG's live, so I don't know who's here as of right now, but you'll get here soon. I know it. We'll just keep talking until more people show up. We've got our coffee, we've got the camera, we've got lights. We are in the studio today. I decided to move into my studio, so I hope you'll like it. I'm actually gonna move this back a little bit so you get a little bit more perspective of the room. There we go. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Everybody okay? Hey Kelly, how's it going? Hey Ron, glad to see you guys are here. As you can see, it's a different setup tonight. I am in my home recording studio. If I move over a bit, you can see I've got a bunch of guitars behind me, amps, other guitars, computer setup. And if I ever turn the camera around, you can see many more guitars and amplifiers over there, and guitars over there, and music equipment on those shelves. But I decided to move in here and get out of my kitchen because this is really where I should be. This is kind of like my man cave, you know. Hey Neil, how's it going? Glad to see you're here. So yesterday was an interesting day for me. I went to the Lehigh Valley Knife Show, and it's the first knife show I've ever been to. So it was a totally new experience. It was fantastic. I got to meet a lot of makers, small makers, who a lot of hand-produced goods as opposed to machined stuff. And I've got a video that's going to be dropping tomorrow at some point. It's going to be stuff I saw at the show, a couple of makers that I interviewed, somebody I did a pocket check with. Just a little, it's a short video. It's only about, I don't know, about 10 minutes long or so, just to highlight some of the things I really enjoyed while I was there. I did pick up a few things, not a ton, because one, I didn't want to spend a ton of money, and I could have. There was a lot to see and a lot to buy. And one, there's other stuff that's already coming, so I kind of spent a lot of my, but hey Bando, how's it going, buddy? So I spent a bunch of money already for, I plan to spend so much I allow myself to spend on new gear. Henry G, how's it going? Oh, let me turn that off. So that's my AC unit was on, because this room was a little stuffy. So like I said, I had a bunch of stuff come in. So we'll go over what came in this week, kind of preview what's coming in next week. So, and then show you what I got at the show, and hang around. Wait off, Pete, what's going on? There is going to be a giveaway tonight. Burnt Relic, what's going on? Hey, Burnt, I'm glad you showed up. I know you're a guitar guy like me. I'm actually in my home recording studio. These are 5 of the 40 guitars that are in this room. One of my Marshall amps is there. One of my Gibsons over there. So this is where I spend most of my playtime, so to speak. But getting back to the knives. So first thing that came in this week was this baby by Tack Knives. This was the Goliath. They dropped these earlier, last Friday. And these were supposed to sell at like $70, but because they had some slight blemishes on the finish, and honestly, the only place I can find the blemish is on that little switch. There's a slight scratch that you're never going to be able to see unless you're really on top of it. So he sold these at half price. And then I used BEDC's code, which took another 10% off. And man, this thing is fantastic. It's an automatic knife. And I love the blade shape. I love the handle. Everything about this I really like. It's a 14C28N steel. So this came in this week. And let me tell you, I don't have a lot of automatics because technically they're illegal in my state, but nobody has to know I have it, except for all you people watching, anybody who watches afterward. But just a beautiful knife. And like I said, great ergos on that. So that's one of the things that came in, and it's just a really, really nice knife. Then I don't know if I think this came in this week, and I don't think I showed it. Well, I didn't have a live last week, so I know you didn't see it yet. And this is the Tenable Shard. This came in, and man, look at that knife. That is a beautiful, beautiful knife. Tenable really hit it out of the park with this one. Great blade shape, great ergos. You know, that aluminum handle. You know, if people didn't know, they would think this is a much higher end knife than it is, not realizing this is a budget knife, because this looks like a high end knife. And man, it's got that beautiful crossbar lock, and it's thumb hole only deployment. So, but man, it deploys every time, and it sounds great. It feels great. I really love what Tenable is doing lately. Actually, right from the beginning, even when the first 4 Tenables came out, they were fantastic. So, but this came in again. This is the Tenable Shard, and just a fantastic knife. So we've got 11 of us here. Now, something else that came in was the Maritac Topo Trekker. This came in, I ordered this from CountyCom. It's got those beautiful G10 scales that have the Topo pattern. It's a flipper or a thumb stud deployment. And let me tell you, this thing is fantastic. It's a D2 steel. Doesn't have a deep carry clip, which I wish it did, but it doesn't, and it's only right hand only. But this is another budget knife, but one, it's a decent sized knife. Great ergonomics. What I love here is look at that jimping. Totally aggressive on that. Totally. I mean, you know, you've got that nice sharpening choil too, which they did a good job on. And just a fantastic knife for the price. You know, a knife that you could get under 40 bucks. And these are limited. There's only 500 of these made. They are numbered. You'll never be able to see it here, but I did it in my short video. They are numbered. This one's 289 out of 500. And just great action, whether you're using the thumb studs, the flipper. It just sounds great too. I don't know if that's coming across on the camera, but I mean, just fantastic. And it's a button lock, so it's super fidgety. You know, you can use the button deployment. So really, there's 3 ways to deploy this. You know, I know some people don't necessarily like a plunge lock, but I've never had a problem with one. And I've carried this a couple of times in the last week or so, used it at work for cutting, you know, light tasks, nothing at work. I don't do anything heavy duty, but man, it just makes a really nice EDC knife. And, you know, that Topo pattern, if you're really into Topo, and I know a lot of people in our community are, fantastic knife. So I don't think this came in on the last live, but this is the Flightanium Beef. I don't remember if this had come in when I did the last live, but this is a great knife. I love this thing. Way it ramps up on the back of the blade with the jimping right there, almost a harpoon point, but it's not. And man, that thing feels great. And I really like this a lot. Deep carry, you know. Nice. And crossbar action, really, really great action on this. It just flips out with ease, and you can really fidget with it because the crossbar works real well, but it's not super tight. It's just as Goldilocks said, this is just right when she got to the baby bear's bed. But I liked it so much, I already ordered a set of skiff bearings for it. I'm going to swap those out, put the skiffs in, which I don't even know if it needs because it's so smooth as it is, but the skiff bearings were only like $13, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So those came in. Then this puppy that's still kind of in the box, this came in. This was a Ned Foss. This is a Ned Foss knife. I don't know if anybody has experience with Ned Foss, but they make some decent stuff. But this one's a unique kind of knife, and I'll show you why. This one comes in this handy dandy case, but you notice something on there? It's a slingshot. This is a slingshot knife combination. So you have here at the end, this is the knife, Tanto blade, flipper style, liner lock. Yep. Oh, and thumb studs. So it's actually got both, but so look at that. Look at that beautiful Tanto blade. Skeletonized handle, solid lockup. I mean, this thing's solid as solid can be. But you have the option of doing a couple of things with this. Again, it's a liner lock. So on top of there, you can see it's slotted and there's a button. And that button's not for the knife. This is the lock for the end here. So you have in the case here, you can equip it with this, which is a window breaker. So, hello, Dawn and Chris. So that you just press the button and snap that right in there. So you can use it as a tactical knife with your window breaker / attitude adjuster. You know, you have the knife itself, which is, like I said, this is really kind of cool. Then you can pop the window breaker out of there and you can pop in the slingshot attachment, and that locks right in, and you've now got a slingshot. So, so just a cool idea. And these things are like 19 bucks. I think they're on Amazon for like $19 or so. I just had to have this. So now you've got your knife and slingshot. So this is kind of cool for a bug out bag. You know, it serves a bunch of cool purposes. And then it's got the sheath so you can wear it. What's nice, you can tuck this in here. You can tuck that in, clip the cover down. And then so this doesn't rattle, you can clip this right into the bottom of the sheath. So, it takes a little bit of practice. I've only had this open once or twice. And it just locks up like that. And then it's got a place for the window breaker as well. You just put that right back in the little front pocket. And you're good to go. So that's by Ned Foss. I really kind of dig that. You don't get anything else in there. Like, no, they don't give any stickers or anything like that. But I mean, for the price, you can't beat it. And it's not a great steel. I think it's a 1440C. But I mean, for something in a bug out bag that can do a lot of different things, I really like it. So this next knife that came in was something I had no intentions of getting. This is a knife by Elk Ridge. And Elk Ridge makes a bunch of knives. They're I want to say budget-minded knives. Brian White, hello there. So this is it. This is the ER943. It's a lockback with a nail nick. So it's not a fidgety type of knife, but it's a nice looking knife. And these sell for, I don't know, I think I've seen these for like $20, but I got it, let's just say, for free. And I'll explain why in a second. But it's got an ebony handle with bone, and it's bone, it's not a resin or anything, with your bolsters, and really feels kind of good in the hand. Solid lockup on that, you know, being a lockback, and just, you know, for what it is, it's not a bad knife. But how I got that one for free was I was on Blade Binge looking for a particular knife from Rough Rider. And that was this little Rough Rider here. It's part of the Sparkle series. So the seller was selling both of them together for $16. I was like, geez. I was like, this one alone is like 18 bucks. And I don't even know what the price of this one was. It's a Rough Rider, so it's probably about 20 bucks itself. So it's like I got one for free. And this is just a little tiny little trapper. If I can get it out of the box, got that nice rough box. But this is the reason why they call it the sparkle. It's got that beautiful. Hey, Sean. Sorry, I didn't say hello to you yet. But it's got that beautiful sparkle finish there. And it's a small guy. But I wanted it for my traditional knife collection, which is, so that came in. And it's got your pen blade kind of clip point right there. And then on the other side, you've got or actually it's the same side. And what's the other blade? I don't even know what the other blade is. Hey, William, welcome in. And then on the other side, you've got your drop point. So, fun little traditional knife. And it does have your half stops. And it's got a nice little walk and talk. Hey, Lou, how's it going, buddy? Glad to see you here. Absolutely glad to see you here. I wasn't sure after this morning if you were mad at me or not. So those are the new things that came in. No, that's not all the new things that came in. Those came in, and then this came in. This is the T-Kel Piranha. So I've wanted a T-Kel for a while, and I wanted a small one because I like small EDC fixed blades. And this is the T-Kel Piranha. This is fantastic. This was part of their blend sale, so it was heavily discounted. They didn't even have this one. They didn't even have this on the website. I had reached out to their customer service and I had asked them if they had any blends available. And they're like, what are you interested in? And I said, the Piranha. And they were like, we have one left. I was like, what's the price? They gave me a really good price on it. And I was like, I'll take it. And they literally got this out to me. They shipped it last Tuesday, and I got it on Saturday. So it actually arrived to my house when I was at the knife show. But man, this is a great little EDC small fixed blade. Everybody knows T-Kel. Tim Kell makes some fantastic stuff. And I don't know what the blem is on this. What they had said was in his live stream was that some of these were actually slightly too thick. And I kind of get what that is because it's tight in the sheath. It takes a lot to get it out, but it is breaking in. Like the more I do it, the easier it's becoming. So, hey, Jacob, thanks for being here. So yeah, that came in, as well as the free shirt from their Patreon. If you're a Patreon member on T-Kel, they sent everybody who was a Patreon member a free shirt this week. So I chose this one, and I absolutely love this one. This is that olive drab green that I love. I have it on a lot of stuff. So that's basically what came in. There wasn't a lot this week. There's going to be more stuff coming in next week. I took advantage of traditional pocket knives. They had the tactile sale, and I had to take advantage of that because without that sale, there's no way I would have ever bought a tactile. But I wanted the tactile, so that's coming. The tactile Maverick. So I'm happy that that's going to be on its way. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. So yesterday I go to let me grab the ticket, to the Lehigh Valley Knife Show. And actually this is a discount coupon for the next show, which is why the dates are showing for September, because they run this show twice a year. And it was fantastic. One of the first knife makers I meet. Now, Lehigh Valley, it's about an hour and a half. The show is like an hour and a half from my house into Pennsylvania. I'm in Jersey. We get there. One of the first guys I talk to, he is a custom knife fabricator, makes some beautiful knives, right? I'm like, where are you based out of? He goes, oh, I'm based out of Vernon, New Jersey. Well, Vernon's 10 minutes from me up the road, literally. I couldn't believe I drove an hour and a half to meet a guy who's based 10 minutes away that I didn't know anything about, and made some really nice stuff. I would have liked to have got it, but I just very much wanted to limit what I spent. I could have spent a ton of money. There was so many fantastic custom knife makers. But I met him. We actually connected. I'm gonna go see his shop. I might do some filming there. I also met the people from I got their stickers here because from New Jersey Steel Baron. So if you don't know New Jersey Steel Baron, a lot of your custom knife makers who don't cut their own blade blanks, they get them from these guys. These guys do the heat treating and they do the blade. They actually laser cut the blades at a specific steel you order from them. And that's what their business is. And they were at the show and I met them. And it turns out they're in Hawthorne, New Jersey, which is not very far from here. So another one that I met that was local, but I had to drive an hour and a half to get to. So kind of cool. But I met so many great knife makers. But the ones I met that I loved the most was Troy from Waxed Wing. And I don't know if anybody's heard of Waxed Wing. I know Jared Neves, he covered them about 2 weeks ago. And that's where I heard about them. And as soon as he covered them, he had talked about a USA knife maker who makes fantastic fixed blades at a bargain price. And I mean bargain price for what you're getting. Well, I went to their website. They were completely sold out of everything. Well, I walk up to this booth and I'm looking down at these knives and I hadn't seen anything about them yet. And I'm looking at these knives like, wow, these things look really familiar. Where did I see them? Where did I see them? It was bugging me. So they had a logo, a QR code there to scan. I scanned it and it opened up to their website. And I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, these are the guys from Waxed Wing. So I met Troy, the owner, young guy. I think he's like 25 or 26, and he founded the company. And he makes these beautiful, and I bought one, these beautiful fixed blades. And he makes larger ones. He only makes like two, he actually makes medium-sized ones. He doesn't make any really large ones. And he makes these small guys. And all USA made just outside of Scranton, PA. He does everything but cutting the blanks. Oh, those are just party lights, Lou. Those are just party lights. So he does everything by hand except for the cutting of the blade shapes. But he does the grinding and the sharpening himself. That's their logo there. It's a WW for Waxed Wing. These beautiful G10 handles. And this one's a little bit bigger than the Piranha. But again, another small fixie. And these guys, he sells for, and it's, I know, Lou, you're not going to like it, but these are Nitro V. He does them in AEBL as well. But I prefer the Nitro V, so I went for the Nitro V option. And these are 120. USA made by hand. Just goes to show you can make an affordable USA made product. And this is not a heavy duty knife. Like if you look, the thickness of the blade, it's a thinner blade. It's a flat grind. Much different than the Piranha. The Piranha is going to be much more hard use, obviously. But for your everyday EDC tasks, whether it's going to be cutting open boxes, cutting rope, cutting open envelopes, this is going to be everything you'll ever need. You even left a nice little sharpening choil in there. So you really great stuff there. And sorry about that, Lou. Nightbot will, if you type everything in all caps, Nightbot will block it and time you out slightly because they're trying to prevent the trolls. I noticed something tonight, folks. Notice I went horizontal. And I noticed, knock on wood, we don't have all the trolls that we usually have in here. So that's kind of cool. I appreciate that. So, I don't know. What do you think? Again, the company's called Waxed Wing. There's going to be an interview with Trevor, the owner. That'll come out tomorrow in my, my knife show video. And nice Kydex sheath, taco style, which I prefer. And it comes with the strap for belt carry, so you can either hang it. I might switch that for ulti carry, for an ulti clip. But the reality is, I scout carry my fixed blades. I very rarely keep them in the pocket. So I was carrying this yesterday and today. Yesterday after I bought it, and then all day today I carried this. So EDC King, hello there. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Wax swing for the win? I think so. So something else I picked up was a guy who hand makes leather and Knives and Gear Insights. Hello there. I picked up this little knife slip, leather slip. Smells beautiful. $10. That's all it was. The guy hand makes them. He had more intricate ones, but I just wanted a little plain one, so that way I could keep my little slip joints in there. You know, fits in perfect. Because I don't like carrying my slip joints in my pocket because I carry so much other stuff in my pockets. I don't want them to get all scratched up. So I was like, I just need one of these. And $10, you can't beat it. And the guy was really friendly. I have his sticker here, I think. In fact, I know I do. So, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's his company, Vintage and Traditional Knives, with the Grim Reaper logo. But he hand makes all the leather goods that he has, and he had a lot of stuff at the show, really nice stuff, you know. So I got that. That was kind of cool. I've been looking for one for a while. I'll put this away before I drop it on my foot and stab myself. So, and then the other thing I got, which I could not resist. You guys know how much I'm a fan of Ben Peterson. Well, I've got just about every Ben Peterson designed knife, including this one, but I have it in a different form. So this is the Wee Banter. Some guy had this on a table, marked at $50. And it was like, geez, these sell for 120, 130. I was like, I couldn't resist. And knife's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So for the price, not a scratch on it, I was like, I'm going to get myself my second Wee Banter. The other one I have is the all black with the Warncliffe blade. So I wanted to go with the original here with the drop point. And I love this knife. This is just a great EDC knife. You know, it's just at that 3-inch length. You know, in fact, I was carrying the Baby Banter at some point yesterday. So kind of cool. For $50, you just can't beat it. I was like, I had to have that, you know. And everything on it works perfect. The only thing is somebody must have taken it apart because the Wii logo on the pivot is slightly askew. So I'm gonna have to open that up, straighten it, and put it back in, if it can be. Well, like I said, somebody must have unscrewed that. But yeah. This guy had a ton of it was used, it wasn't new, but he had a ton of stuff at really great prices. He had a Benchmade automatic, and I was leery because there's so many counterfeit Benchmades out there. I was like, it was at a really good price point. It looked really good. You could tell it was used. It actually had some wear on it. Somebody used it, like, you know, it wasn't brand new. The guy wanted like $70 for it, but I was like, no. I was like, I can't take a chance because I don't know enough about that particular. Like, I could spot a fake bug out because I've seen so many of them, but this knife, I don't know anything about that knife, and I wasn't sure it wasn't counterfeit. So I was like, where this one I know no one's going out and counterfeiting Banters, you know. So there was that. But man, what a good time! Like, I met so many people, and I know a lot of you guys have already been to knife shows, but again, this was my first. Oh, Lou, by the way, is that the light you were asking? What that flashing light is? That's a recording sign. So that actually generally hangs outside the door of the studio, and it's controlled by my phone. There's an app that I can control. I can switch the colors. I can switch the colors on that. I can have it scroll. I can have it flash. All that kind of stuff. So that usually sits on the outside for when I do music recording, or if I was recording my podcast, you know, my paranormal podcast. So, hey, Greg, I'm glad you're here, buddy. So that's what that is. I just moved it in here because I was like, oh, you know, kind of add to the ambiance, you know. But yeah, that's what that flashing light is. So, but what I'm going to do is kind of Now, mind you, the studio is kind of a mess at the moment. I'm going to turn the camera around briefly so that way you guys could see what I'm talking about with all the stuff that's in here. So that's a rack of guitars. That's over there. Over here is another rack of guitars and amplifiers. More amplifiers. Behind that, more amplifiers. Like I said, back here, guitars, guitars, autographs and gold records and stuff. My bookshelf with all my crazy collectible stuff, whether it be action figures, anything you could think of, autographed baseballs, bobblehead dolls, my altar to kiss, and then down here is a bunch of my photography equipment and whatnot. So, and in that closet there, I'm packing stuff up because we are getting potentially moving. So I've been packing stuff, and that's what that is there. I've got this, which is really cool. Oh, no, I guess it's dead. I got to change the batteries. Oh, well. What that actually is, folks, is that's a wall sconce lightsaber. So that's just a quick tour of all the stuff in this room. In behind those big white doors that you saw, there were more guitars in there, more gear in there. It's also half a closet of ghost hunting equipment because, as I've said before, I'm a paranormal investigator. EDC King, you can find it. It's called the Paranormal Pulse Podcast, and all the old episodes are on iTunes. We have been on a hiatus, so we haven't recorded an episode in a long time, but that's going to change. We're going to start recording again. We kind of got burnt out. We did the podcast for a few years, but also we were ghost hunting on the regular, and we had to take a break from it. It absorbed like probably 8 years of my life was dedicated to paranormal investigating. And we still do it. We just don't do it as much as we used to. But yeah, that's kind of knives and music have become my thing, and motorcycles, and it's hard to balance all my loves. So, and with the YouTube channel now, with you guys supporting the channel the way you guys have and come out, and the amount of subscribers, I guess it depends on what era they're from, but it's just become one of those things where the knives have kind of taken precedent right now over anything else. So even my music is kind of neglected at the moment. But working a full-time gig and then doing this, the YouTube thing, and my schedule with the YouTube. If you guys notice, I put out short form videos 5 to 6 days a week. 2 long form videos. I do the lives, but very cool, EDC King. EDC King, you should hit me up on Instagram. It's Adventure50 on Instagram. I'd love to talk anything like that. Yeah, Burnt Relic, it is a grind. And I know, Burnt, you do the music videos, and you know what that's like. It takes a lot of time. And guys who do music videos, man, even though I can play anything and, and I love to play, doing music content is hard. One, because there's a million channels who do it, and it's hard to keep up with the big boys who are being given their guitars, and it's one of those things. Like knives are a bit easier because knives aren't, $2,000-$3,000 where guitars are. Caleb, what is up, buddy? I'm glad you're here, buddy. Caleb, I have to have you as a guest on here one of these Sundays. That's what I'm actually meant to talk to you about recently. I was also going to, and I have to apologize to BEDC. I was going to have him on tonight, but then when I realized that I didn't want to screw around because I was experimenting with this room, because this was supposed to actually be done last week, but then last week I was really under the weather and I couldn't get on camera. There was no way. And I wanted to experiment. I wanted to get this set up right first, and I wanted to do the giveaway. So I got to talk to Brian from BEDC, who, by the way, is an awesome guy. So my favorite guitar. Oh boy, that's a loaded one. Because I love all my guitars. It's so hard. one I'll show you that I built. It's a relic of Eddie Van Halen's guitar. So I built this one. This is totally built by me, painted by me. It's a relic of Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstein guitar. It's not 100% perfect. What I tried to do was, one, I need to get the 1974 quarter. Right now I just have a washer there. That's supposed to be a quarter. And I don't have a Floyd Rose bridge in there because his original, before he installed the Floyd Rose, had a traditional bridge. And that's what I went with. I'm trying to go the original. So, but yeah, this has been, you know, totally built by me. It's one of my many things I love to do. But my personal favorite guitar is this one. This is a 1973 Stratocaster. This thing never leaves the house. This is, if knives have safe queens, this is a safe queen. Again, this is a 1973. It's almost as old as I am. So this is going, and it's in perfect condition. The only thing I did that's not is I added the DiMarzio strap locks to it. And I hunted this one down for a long time. But oops, and I just hit it. It'll be fine. But yeah, those are a couple of my favorites. But yeah, knives again. I don't know how much it's worth, to be honest, because 70s Strats aren't as valuable as 50s and 60s, because a lot of people, that was the end of the CBS era where they really started to cut corners. If you've ever read the story of how Fender worked in those days, when CBS bought Fender from Leo Fender, every year the bean counters would go into the engineers and say, how can we make this cheaper? So now they started doing things like, one of the first things they did was like, hey, we'll use a neck plate that only requires 3 bolts instead of 4, and we'll save money on bolts. And every year they went in and were like, we need to save more money. How can we save more money? And they just started making cuts using cheaper gauge wire, cheaper pickups, and they lessened the product. The only reason why I absolutely love the 70s style Strats, or the very late 60s, is because that's what Hendrix used, with the big headstock as opposed to the small Fender headstock. You know, YouTube Music Portal, hello there. And I'm also a huge fan of Yngwie J. Malmsteen, who is known for playing that exact Strat. So, but I have that one. Over there I have 1977 Ibanez Iceman, which is one of only 250 made in that particular model that year. And that one, in great condition, is worth about $3,000 to $4,000. But I played the hell out of that one in the 80s, and it's got chips in it, and it's all beaten to hell. Even in the condition that it is now, I could probably still get about $1,500 to $2,000 because it is so rare, you know. But I don't really look at my guitars for their value, though, because I have some guitars that have no value that I love. And then I have expensive guitars that, you know. Yep, Yngwie Malmsteen. He, in the 80s, that's the guy who made me want to play guitar, even more than Eddie Van Halen. I love shredding, even though I'm not great at it, but I love that style. But I love all, I mean, as a guitarist, I love all music. Doesn't matter. Wow, we've been on almost 40 minutes already? Jeez Louise, it's moving quick. So, what's everybody carrying today? I know I ask every week, and not a lot of people jump in on this, but we got 22 people here. Come on, tell me what you're carrying. I'd love to know. What was I carrying today? Oh, I was carrying, yeah, banter. It's not too late to learn. Absolutely, Ron. Nothing wrong with that. Mannix 2. Man, I love my Mannix 2. I have been wanting to. It's weird because I love it. I have the Mannix 2 lightweight in the teal with the Spy 27, and I've thought about upgrading the handles and you know hot rodding it out, and I'm like, why? I just love it the way it is. You know, I am going to though hot rod this Banter out. I already know I'm getting titanium scales for it. I'm going to lose the blue G10, and since the Banter uses the same size studs, nice Neil. Those are nice. Ozark Trail, your work knife, and the Excalibur from a show and slicing. Beautiful, Jacob. Hello, Jacob. By the way, I don't know if I said hello to you or not. 60s early. Okay. Sharpening day. So you're carrying all of them. That's awesome. But like I said, I'm going to swap the titanium scales on this, and since this uses the same size stud as Kaiser and also as Benchmade, I already have different colored studs that I'm going to put on this. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know if I'm just going to go with a like a blasted finish titanium or a black titanium. You know what? See, wait. Gotcha, gotcha. Nice and gear. G10. The Veritas, nice, and the helmet. Man, I don't have a Veritas. I've looked at them, and it's one of those knives. I just it's on my list because just about every knife's on my list at some point. No, but I mean, I have it on my list, and I've just never pulled the trigger on it. And I think one of the reasons why I haven't pulled the trigger is because it's a few years old now, and it kind of like I have a more recency bias. When new stuff comes out, I'm like I my head snaps. I'm like, oh, new stuff, new stuff, and I forget the old stuff, which is just damn good. And what's great is some of the older stuff you can get dirt cheap. Um, I'll give you a good for instance. The Kaiser Tyann, they had a sale on that. I mean, that was like $170 knife. Well, last week they had a sale on them on Amazon from the Kaiser shop on there, and they were like $79.99. They were almost like $100 off. I didn't buy one, but I should have. Hey, Bill, what's up, buddy? Oh, I did, Bill. I didn't realize I did. All right, I'll text you. That was my buddy Bill. He went to Blade Show, went to the knife show with me. He also bought one of um, the waxed wing knives. I have to check. I forget if it's a 72 or a 74 that was on his original. I have to double check that. Um, I mean, yep, the tan one was nice. I wanted purple with my bill because I don't have any purple knives. Out of all knives in my collection, I don't have a purple. That's why I wanted the purple. And that guy bought the other one right before us that had the other that kind of had the sheep's foot blade, but I don't mind. And by the way, this one is called the Chitan, uh, yeah, Chitin, the Chitin. And I looked up what that was, and I still not sure. I got to ask Troy. I'm going to email him about that, what that was all about. Yeah. Now, it's funny. The cormorant I just bought off of BEDC. I bought he had a knife sale, and I bought his crispy donut community, Kaiser collaboration. So that actually he shipped that out, and it got for some reason it took a weird path, like going from distribution center to distribution center. It was literally supposed to be here last Tuesday, and it hasn't arrived yet. And I'm looking at it. It should be here this Tuesday. Somehow it got circled around to different distribution centers, and I don't understand the post office sometimes. I really don't. So you went from the jade to purple. I'm assuming you used the RIT dye, the synthetic RIT dye, right, William? Is that what? I have not dyed any scales yet, and there's a couple. I have some jade knives that I don't dislike the jade knives, but I bought them because they were cheaper because they were clearance because a lot of people don't buy as much. Okay, you got the Kubi. Okay, very cool. Yeah, he had some great prices on stuff. You know, and since we all know Brian in the community, I trusted him. I was like, not a problem. And he was great. I paid him. He literally mailed it out the next day. So can't beat that. Unfortunately, we can't control the post office. So, and it's really weird because I've been talking a lot of smack. How everybody's been complaining of post. And I haven't had any problems yet. Well, I jinxed myself. Now I have a problem. But it's not lost or anything. It's just for some reason it went from one distribution center to another, back, then back to another. I don't understand what the hell they're doing. I really don't. You know, got this hat with Bigfoot on it. I saw that and had to have it because, Bigfoot goes along with the other paranormal stuff. But I've had this fascination with Bigfoot for a long time. Mm, yeah, that is a really fair deal. 100%. But so we've got 19 people here. That's not a lot of you here. So once we start the giveaway, that's good odds for somebody. So now we got 20. All right, 20 people in the house. And do I have any of my mods here? I don't remember. I should make some of you guys mods. Let's see who's here. Caleb, you're a mod. Okay. All right. All right, Caleb. In a little while, when we're going to do the numbers game, I'm going to need you to do the stop and start. So, and if Kelly's still here, I hope. Oh, Neil, you're a mod as well. Neil, there's a great book. It's called Bigfoot in New Jersey, where this guy who is not a paranormal investigator at all, he's an accountant basically, and he set up spreadsheets with all the reportings of Bigfoot through PA in New Jersey and tracked where they were. And what he did was he actually only used credible Bigfoot reports. Like he didn't use, and what I mean by credible, stuff that was reported by police, state troopers, by park rangers, things like that. So, and he dismissed stuff that people were just trying to get publicity. He analyzed all the data, and there's a case, a really good case for Bigfoot, around New Jersey, and the places make sense where they've been spotted. And like one of the really credible reports was from a woman in the 50s. Now, the Bigfoot craze really didn't hit till the late 60s, early 70s. The term Bigfoot wasn't even really used at that point. So it wasn't like this woman was doing anything for publicity because this was a report that was made in the 50s. And she described the Bigfoot we know about to a T in the 50s. And that was over in High Point State Park. So, all right, Kelly's here. Angelo, you're here. I didn't see you, buddy. Glad you're here. All right. So, let's go over what we're going to get doing the giveaway. 71? Okay. Excellent. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. So, I was at the show yesterday and I got a ton of stickers from every custom knife maker under the sun. So I'm not going to go through them all, but there's going to be a whole pack of stickers. And I'm not going to try to drag this out by showing you every sticker under the sun. And you'll get my stickers in there. And I've got some channel stickers as well that will go in there from basically all of you guys. Everybody's got a channel. I pretty much have your stickers, So there's going to be a whole swag pack of stickers in there. But let's start with a couple of things. One, we'll start with the small stuff. Just a zipper pull, pull / lanyard made by Kelly White, our very own Kelly White. Then there's going to be a monkey fist that was made by Kelly White. And I decided one of you guys deserve to have this. Kelly sent me a few of them, and I love these. I actually carry one all the time now. So, no memberships yet, but yep, this will definitely do damage. So that's why I carry it. So those are two things. And Kelly, thank you so much. I told you I'd use some of these for a giveaway. And the next thing we're going to have in there is this lockback knife from Roper Knives. It's the Tumbleweed. I have one open somewhere. I bought two of these, one for the giveaway and one for myself. It's not an expensive knife, but it's a nice, traditional lockback knife. So that's going to be in there. And this is just a small giveaway. When I get to 1,500 subscribers, there's going to be a big giveaway. And we're not far from 1,200 right now. I think that'll probably happen by June at the rate I'm adding subscribers. So, but yeah, so you're going to get the Tumbleweed. And then lastly, you're going to get, and again, not an expensive knife, just as an Ozark Trail Tanto bladed knife that actually I bought these with giveaways in mind, keeping for myself and giving away. I've actually carried this one, an open one I have over there. I've carried it. It's a really nice knife with great action. It's a terrible steel. I shouldn't say it's a terrible steel. It's like a 5 CR, so it's a low grade steel, but the action on it's good. The G10, I actually think this is G10 and not plastic, but it could be plastic. I don't know. No, it's a plastic. It's a polypropylene handle, but really nice knife for the price. I mean, you can't beat it, and it's got really great. I mean, it's still in the package. I don't want to open it, but it's got really, really great ergos. So that's what you're gonna get in the giveaway, and we're gonna play the numbers game. And if somebody would be so kind as to put the rules up, but at this point, we all know how to play the numbers game. So I'm going to write a number here on this page. So I've written the number on the backside, and I'm going to write the number range. All right. So what we're going to do is pick from 100 to 300. So the number range is going to be from 100 to 300. So if somebody wants to put up the start on there, and we can start guessing numbers, and the closest to the number or the exact number without going over will win this fabulous prize package. All right, we got to start from Caleb. Let's keep those numbers coming in. That's cool, Ron. Doing something great for Caleb. Awesome. YouTube Music Portal. Caleb, your number is too low. It's 100 to 300. Angelo Falou, very cool. Do something kind for somebody. Okay. No problem, Caleb. I got you. I thought so. I thought as much. Turdberger, hello there. It's 100 to 300, Turd. Glad you're here. So again, it's 100 to 300 is the range. Kelly's playing for Ron. Dragoon, hey, what's up, buddy? All right. I think everybody's in. It's a lot of people so far. So we'll give it like 30 seconds more, Caleb, and if you could put up a stop sign, and then we'll figure out who won. Sean, okay, excellent. Got yours in. I've seen some people are close. I don't think anybody's hit on it yet, but Caleb or Kelly, if somebody wants to put up the stop sign, it'd be awesome. All right. We've got a stop sign, so no more guesses. So the number is 252. 252. So let's see if I can go back and see. Knives and Gear Insights has 242. Turd, you're over. It looks like it's Knives and Gear Insights. Yep, it's Knives and Gear Insights. You are the winner. So again, you're going to get the Ozark Trail Tanto, the Roper Knives Tumbleweed, the Monkey Fist made by Kelly White, and the Zipper Pool made by Kelly White as well, and the sticker pack. So I will get those out to you. If Knights and Gear Insights, if you could reach out to me on Instagram and get me your information, and I'll get those out to you, that would be awesome. So it's Adventure50 on Instagram, Knights and Gear Insights. So if you use Instagram, just hit me up there. If not, in my channel description, there's also my email, which is ADV50 spelled out. So ADV50@gmail.com. So you can hit me up on either place and we'll get these to you. So we'll go a little while longer. I didn't want to do a long one tonight because again, this is kind of a test with everything, but man, congratulations, Knives and Gear Insights. Oh, you were redirected to go. That's funny. But so, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I'll look at, yep, I have it there. You're right. I have to go back in and check the emails. So you're right. I do have it from there. That's, thanks, you're good. That is actually just a new iPhone. That's an iPhone 16 Pro. I got it like 3 weeks ago. Prior to that, I was using my old iPhone 13, and I shoot everything. All my videos and everything are all shot on my iPhone, which is ridiculous because I have a closet full of photography gear because I used to work as a professional photographer. But it's just so much easier to use my iPhone. Videos, it's so easy. It's the small form factor. Video is great. I mean, I do all my editing on there as well. That or my iPad. I have the iPad Pro, the iPad 12 Pro, the biggest one they make. It's one for work. So my company supplied it to me, and because I do a lot of video editing at work, I needed the best one they made, and at the time what we got it last year, that was the top of the line one, whichever one that was. I don't even remember the number on it at this point. Have a great night, Kelly. Have a good night, Brian. Glad you guys were here. Definitely appreciate that. That is actually not a. It's not a platinum album. That's the Ramones Gold album from the very first Ramones album. That is that's the self-titled Ramones album. That is the gold record from that. So I have a couple of gold records. That's the only one I have hanging right now. Under my couch there, I have more stuff that we started taking down and whatnot. So thanks, Dragoon. I appreciate it. So, like I have up behind me, if you look at that, that's an autographed disc from disc golf. That's autographed by one of the best disc golf players in the world, Eagle McMahon. I don't know if anybody plays disc golf or follows professional disc golf, but I do. So, good night, Caleb. Appreciate you being here, buddy. So, I have a lot of cool stuff. That's a drum head signed by Eric Singer from Kiss. Right above that's an autographed Nita Strauss picture, autographed Misfits picture right there. Bunch of wrestling stuff, Deonna Purrazzo. There's a whole bunch of stuff back here. That is a poster from one of the NWA pay-per-views. Brad Williams, the stand-up comedian. I've got his autograph up there. Larry Storch up in the corner, who, for people old enough, remember him from F Troop. That's his autograph. There's all kinds of memorabilia in here. Let's see. That's CJ Ramone up there. That's his autograph. So I got autographs on that side. Every Kiss member on my altar to Kiss that I showed before, I've got every one of their autographs. Multiple times too. So, but yeah, I over the years I've been lucky enough to either meet people or, because of the stuff I've done. So, yep, Corporal Agarn. And where I met him, Neil, you'll know, Wild West City. Up until he passed away 3 years ago, every summer he would appear at Wild West City and sign autographs. Nice, Lou. Very cool. And when we went to see him, I mean, he was already he died we saw him, I think it was 2019 before the pandemic. So, and he died only a few years after that. But when we saw him, he had all his faculties, but they were leading him around because he was so old, and they were walking him around. And I went to specifically meet him because I loved F Troop as a kid. You kid, Lou. But, and then he was on, what most people don't know is in the 70s, before the movie Ghostbusters, there was a TV show called The Ghostbusters, where he reunited with Forrest Tucker, and they played Ghostbusters. And that's why years later, when the cartoons came out, you had the Ghostbusters cartoon, which were not the Ghostbusters from the movie, which led to them coming out with the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And the reason for that was that the rights to the name Ghostbusters got sold to the movie Ghostbusters from the people who owned the TV show. But they never sold them the rights to use it for anything other than the movie. So they decided, we're going to bring those characters back in a cartoon and just call it Ghostbusters. And I was a kid, and all of a sudden I'm watching it. I'm like, those aren't the Ghostbusters. What the hell is that? I had no idea. And then a month later, the real Ghostbusters cartoon came out. And it was confusing to a lot of kids. I mean, I wasn't a kid at that point. I was, however old I was, but probably in my 20s, whatever it was. I have no idea anymore. But that's why I have him back there in the Ghostbusters, from the Ghostbusters promo shot. But I also have him as Agarn in a file, because I have a lot of autographs and files that I don't post anywhere. Over there, I've got a really cool one. If anybody's into Doctor Who, I've got Tom Baker, who is the most famous doctor of all. I've got his autograph over there, and he actually autographed it. And anybody watches Doctor Who, everybody knows that the people who travel around with Doctor Who are his companions. So, gotcha. But the people who traveled around with Doctor Who, they were his companions. Well, Tom Baker signed that picture to me, and it says, "To my companion Lance," from Tom Baker. And I kind of love that. I was like, well, I'm Doctor Who's companion now. So, but yeah, so I've got a lot of cool collectibles and stuff over the years I've gathered, and I've just been very lucky with that. And I love all my stuff. Like as far as that stuff, the autograph stuff. Some people are like, why do you collect autographs and stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I just think it's cool to have somebody. Like I have Tom Hamilton from Aerosmith. I've got his autograph over there. You know, Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. I have his autograph over there. He did these. Both of them were for this company here. So V-Picks, which is a guitar pick company, they make these hard plastic picks that are becoming wildly popular, but they're also wildly expensive. They're like $6 to $8 a pick, so they're not cheap. But they both use V-Picks, and they put out these picture autograph cards that have the pick with it, and then their autograph on it. Exactly. They are memories. I'll show you a couple of cool ones that I really love. If you're a fan of horror movies, I am a fan of everything Friday the 13th. As some of you may or may not know, Friday the 13th, the original movie, was not filmed very far from where I live. So this is an autographed Jason mask from Ari Lehman. Ari was the very first Jason. So I've got that autograph. And then I've got this autograph from Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder was, yes, they are expensive picks, but they're really good picks. And I prefer heavy picks, so this is a real thick pick, and there's no give to it at all. So you can play very accurately, But this is Kane Hodder, who also played Jason. He played Jason in the later movies. He was, to me, the best Jason because he was the one with the biggest muscles. Yes, it was filmed out Camp Nebobo, which is in Hackettstown. And they actually run tours. There's a tour company called Crystal Lake Tours, and they actually do tours there. And you can go visit the whole Boy Scout camp. You could sleep there. They have overnight tours there, and kind of cool, really cool stuff. And they run them like, I want to say they run them around every Friday the 13th. They'll run a block of them with Friday the 13th, and they usually do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they have the I'm sorry, Blairstown, not Hackettstown, Blairstown. I'm sorry, I said Hackettstown, but it's Blairstown. But they have the Blairstown Museum, and the Blairstown Museum has all the memorabilia from the movie. So, well, yeah, I mean, the first movie, he doesn't get the mask until the third movie. The first two movies, he had the potato sack. And hold on, Music Portal, you said. Yes. You know what? The jazz picks will make you more accurate because of the smaller size. I found that myself. For the most part, I use bigger pick. I use full size picks and not jazz picks. But playing with jazz picks really did make my picking more accurate. It forces you to. So, but yeah, we're at 69 minutes. We'll hang out a little bit more. I'm having a good time. And what are we at? Yeah, 10 after 12, not too bad. I want to wrap up by 12:30 the latest, though. I do have to get some sleep. Going back to work tomorrow, back to the grind, so they say. But although I have to, before I go to bed, first. Right, exactly. Yep, correct. In fact, yeah, the first one was basically his mother was the killer. Until he comes out of the lake later. But yeah, correct, Lou. I've got every movie. I don't have my DVD. I have them all downloaded. I had them all on VHS at one point, but I got rid of all my VHS stuff. Well, if you notice, the last movies don't say Friday the 13th on them because they lost the rights to the Friday the 13th name, which is why you have Jason Goes to Hell. It's not actually titled, Friday the 13th. Or you have Jason X. Yeah, that's exactly YouTube Music Report. That's exactly what I did. When they had one of those deals on iTunes. Yep. you know. By the way, there are some fantastic fan films that came out, like The Fall of Camp Blood. Um, when I took my little time off from between jobs and I went into tried to go into movie making and whatnot, I actually wound up working on one of the fan films. And I know I have credits on it, but you're still awake, honey? I thought you'd be long asleep by now. Hmm. Well, good night, my love. I had no idea my wife was watching. I figured she'd be asleep, long asleep by now. She went to bed at like 10 o'clock. So, yeah, absolutely, Lou. I woke you up. Am I that loud? I thought it'd be quieter being in the studio than in the kitchen. Hmm. Well, that's no good. I was loud enough that I had awakened my wife. No idea. So, but does anybody come on Sunday nights after I do? Does anybody know? I should have looked at the knife tube guide. I mean, I'm listed on it, but I pretty much know everybody's schedule. But I don't think there's anybody that comes on after me, right? No, there's not. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like the last show of the week. I chose this time because nobody else is on this, and I was just like, and I know that I don't get a ton of people. You know, sometimes I get more, sometimes I get less, but it's just a good slot because you can't go up against any of the big guys. Yeah, I think I'm last too. It's hard because, you know, if you go on Friday nights, you're up against Bees and you're up against Metal Complex. So when those guys are on, who's going to watch my channel? Nobody, because even I'm watching them, you know? And it's the same thing. Saturday nights, you got G Ball, you got Roll Shambo, you know? Right, you got Javon on Monday. So this was really the only time that I saw that made sense to go on was where not a lot of people are on. Plus, I don't want to be on at the same time because I want to watch their live streams, you know? Well, Big Red does Saturday nights. Um, there were those Saturday nights where where he was away or he was working and he wasn't on, and I jumped on at that time. But then Zach stuff went on and took his place, and I was like, I didn't want to go up against Zach stuff, either because I love watching Zach. So, like, who are some of the other YouTubers you guys watch? I mean, I know all of us we see each other in all the different lives, but I mean, I watch Metal Complex, I watch Neves, I watch G Ball, Bees Blades, Legion Steel. Caleb started a couple weeks ago. I'm watching Caleb now on Tuesdays, bouncing back between them. On Sunday nights before me, MPG with EDC. You know, yeah, same thing. And of course, Bando. You know, I watch Bando whenever possible as well. Bushcraft Rebooted. I try to watch as many of you guys as well. Because I have a lot of fun in the streams, just interacting with everybody. You know, I was on watching Aries earlier, Aries EDC before, you know. When Weldon Carey does his, I always watch Weldon. Right, and tomorrow, right, Rob will be on. Rob and his kazoo, he'll be on. Can't miss Rob. I love Rob. Makes me laugh. I like watching him because sometimes I think he loves it, but he gets frustrated too. He, yeah, he was. If you remember, at one point he was doing Mondays and Saturdays, and now he's just doing Saturdays. He cut out the weekday show. I think it got to be a lot for him because I mean, Jesus, that guy puts out like 3 videos a day, and I'm not talking about like shorts. He puts out like 3 full-length videos every single day, and I know he's doing it full time. It's the same thing like Neves. These guys have the time to do that, and they've got the fan base to do that. But the work ethic that those guys have is amazing to me. G-Ball just grinds and grinds and grinds, and he puts out fun stuff, and I love his lives. I mean, he's a good guy too. I haven't met anybody who's really not a good person in this community. On Sundays, I like watching Rolf and Barbie. You know, I have fun with them. Some shows are more serious than others, some are more fun, but we've got a good cross section of knife tube, you know, and like some people are very serious on their shows, some people are more lighthearted, and it's all good. You know, I enjoy all of it. And like I said, the big thing, I just love interacting with everybody. Medium to mediocre, that's fine. As long as you don't skew on the evil side. You know what I mean? Like Dungeons and Dragons. Everybody loves those chaotic good kind of characters, or the chaotic neutral. That's a fun character to play. Yeah, exactly. That's the key. We all work, not all of us, but a lot of us work full time jobs, and this is our secondary gig, so to speak. And but I enjoy it. Like I really enjoy making the content. I really enjoy the lives, and it's been really cool that companies are willing to start working with me now. And I've got more companies, and I have, geez, I've got like 3 or 4 videos I have to shoot this week because I have stuff that was sent to me, and I need to get the content out in a timely manner. So some of the stuff that I wanted to shoot for myself is getting pushed back a little bit, um, because when I get new knives, I try not to open them and carry them until I record a video. But that's not happening at this point because, like I said, a lot of companies have reached out, sort of working with me. Um, the newest one I'm going to be working with is Workos. We finalized that last earlier in the week, so they're sending me one of their new flashlights that's coming out, and I'm really kind of happy to see that because I'm a flashlight junkie. You know, obviously I'm an Olight fanboy. Am unapologetic about that. I love Olight, but you know, yeah, we can see the TCal. Absolutely. So, like I said, I'm a Olight fanboy, but there it is. That's the Piranha. That's the smallest knife. Now, the Melissa Backwoods knife is coming out at Blade Show, and she'll be there 2 days. So, Lou, you can go visit Melissa at Atlanta Blade Show. Her knife is basically this one, is the same as the Piranha. Blade shape slightly different. I believe it's more of a, yes, these are the Apache. Yep. But on Melissa's, you're gonna have the option of adding the ring, like the karambit ring, or taking it off. That's one of the things they did with it. And she's got more of a, it's not a Warncliffe that she's got. I think she's got almost like a reverse Tanto, if I remember seeing it right. Or it might even be similar to this, but the handles are going to be the exact same handles. So that this one has. Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? I keep forgetting because that's the brand new one he just dropped. That's the one dedicated to his father-in-law. So, but yeah, very cool. Like I said, I went with this one because I wanted a small EDC fixed blade. And like I said, I reached out to them, and they had this one as a blem. And like I said, I can't see what's wrong with it other than they were saying that it was too thick somewhere in here. But the blade is perfect, and I don't see any blemishes whatsoever. So I'm really happy with it. And actually, the more I'm working with this, the better it's going into the sheath. When I first got this yesterday, I could barely pull the knife out of the sheath. So, and now it's getting to the point where I can do it with just my thumb. How many videos are you putting out, Knights and Gear Insights? How many videos are you putting out a week? Like full length videos. I'm just curious. Because one of my things is I've got a lot of videos recorded, but I try not to put them out like daily. You do 7 full length. But my question with that is, like, you put out a video, but I notice a lot of my videos, I'll put them out. The first day, they don't get as many views as I think they should. But then second and third day, they seem to pick up, and I also can't explain the rhyme or reason because, nice and your insights. Yep. I can't explain the algorithms because I've got videos that have 10,000 views. I've got videos that have 50 views. There's no rhyme or reason. And I thought, well, maybe it's one particular type of content. So I try to do that type of content, and it doesn't seem to get the same results. And I find something else, and all of a sudden that hits. I can never explain what's going to hit. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, actually, I should make more of you guys moderators so you can put your links up. So, in fact, let's do that. Knives and Gear Insights, I'm going to make you a mod so that way you can post your link whenever you're here. Because I like people to be able to post. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm doing 2 full length a week, and I'm trying to do 5 to 6 shorts each week, and then the live. Maybe I'll move it up to 3, but it's hard with my work schedule to do that many. Gotcha. Oh yeah, absolutely. I learned that when I was doing motorcycle content. Ground fog, hello there. I'm close to 3,000 watch hours, so I'm close to being monetized at this point. I should be at 3,000 by the end of next month if everything goes right and everything goes to, it stays consistent with what I've been going all along. And I've been gaining about 140 subscribers a month since October. So, so that's kind of where we're at with that. Yeah, it's interesting the way it works because you see spikes, as far as like with the subs, and then a couple of days go by and you lose a couple, then all of a sudden you gain 10, that sort of thing. And I can't explain how that works either. I know a lot has to do with the algorithms, and a lot of times people subscribe and then they don't comment or watch a video and it gets dropped off. And some people just like, no, I'm subscribed to too many channels, I'll just unsubscribe. I know that happens too. So, but I'm just grinding away at it, putting out the content and. Okay, very cool. Yeah, I am, 41 subs away from 1,200. But with the way I've been, like I said, the way I've been gaining subs, because I only started doing the knife content at the end of September / beginning of October. So, and that's where I was only at like 200 subs up to that point. Oh, it only arrived in the mail yesterday, Ground Fog. It literally just arrived yesterday. So I haven't actually carried it yet. I'm probably going to carry it tomorrow. Today I was carrying the Waxed Wing, which is also an American company based out of Pennsylvania. So I was carrying them, and I learned about these guys from Neves. Neves was talking about them a couple weeks ago, and I got to meet them at the knife show yesterday. So So I carried that today, and I'll carry the piranha tomorrow. That's true. Absolutely. All right, hold on. Let me try it again. Whoops. Let's do it again. Add as mod. Standard mod. Okay, yeah, you should have it now. I think I might have done something wrong on my end. But so do you guys prefer the horizontal as opposed to the vertical? Just curious about that. And I noticed no trolls tonight. Got it. Although I guarantee you everybody in here right now is subscribed to Unites and Gear Insights. You know, it's funny though. It's weird because I get the trolls from the. It's weird because you don't get the trolls in the horizontal, but I notice I gain more subscribers. Well, I can't say that. It's not like I've done a lot of the horizontals. It's only the second one, but I notice I do gain subscribers when I do the verticals because people who have never watched before jump in. A lot of them trolls, but some people stick around, so it's kind of tough. Like I don't know which way to go. I know Knives Fast. Casey does both. He does his horizontals, and then he does those pop-ups that are on vertical. So yeah, yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it to the horizontal. Maybe I'll do some pop-ups that are vertical. You know, gotcha, gotcha. So, and I know some of you guys have suggested to me that even though I'm not monetized yet, that I start a Patreon that you'd want to watch with Patreon. And I was thinking I could do that, and then put out videos that aren't going to be on YouTube on Patreon. So, maybe put out a video there and maybe do like a private live stream on Patreon. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody would want to do that. Some of you guys have said that to me that I should, but I have no idea whether I'm going to do that or not. I may try it, but so we're almost at 90 minutes. Like I said, I'm gonna wrap up at 90 minutes. I am so glad that all you guys decided to join in tonight. And Knights and Gear Insights, I will get your prize out to you soon. I'll get your tracking number. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the post office until Saturday. I might be able to get there before. I don't know. It all depends on what's going on at work. So if I can duck out of work for a little bit, I'll get them out this week. But if not, it'll be the weekend. It'll be next weekend. So I look forward to getting you that. But yeah, yeah, I got you. That's like I have a merchandise store that I started, and I've linked it in a couple of videos, but I almost never talk about it, and I should because I do have the merchandise store, and there's some really cool stuff on there, and I bought some of my own stuff. In fact, when I was at the knife show yesterday, I actually had my shoulder bag that had my logo on it. That was cool because I was able to show people that, like, oh yeah, this is my logo. And I didn't bring business cards because I'm like, why do I need business cards? I could just have people scan the QR code on my phone, and everybody was going around. I gained a bunch of subscribers at the show yesterday, so that was really kind of cool. Like I said, I made a lot of connections. We're going to shoot some videos with some of the people I met. So definitely, like these smaller knife shows, don't sleep on them. One, like I can't wait. I think in August I'm going to go to the New York Custom Knife Show. Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with the horizontal. I like it better as well. Um, yeah, I definitely like it better. So that's the route I'm going to go with. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. We've been on for 90 minutes, and you guys have been great, and I appreciate it. And we'll do this again next week. Maybe during the week I might do a pop up here and there. Maybe, I don't know. Depends on what's going on. If anybody cancels their show or anything, maybe I'll jump on. But just plan on next Sunday night, all of us getting together again, because this is just a lot of fun. And like I said, like I always say, until we meet again, keep your blade sharp. And good night, guys. Really appreciate it. Talk to you all during the week in the lives.